There's a interesting Chazal. Chazal tell us that Rachel and Leah. Rachel was the younger daughter of Lavan, and Leah was the older daughter. And it happens to be that Yitzhak also had two children, Yaakov and Esav. And people said, well, Rachel is the younger one; she'll go to the younger son, right? That's Yaakov, and Leah is the older son; she'll marry Esav. And this was quite prevalent speech, it seems, apparently around the times that they were living 2,000 years ago. And it's the Mefarshim, the commentators explain there that you see that what people say is important because this made it to Chazal, right? It says that Leah, Eine Leah Rachos, her eyes were soft and were tears because this is what people are saying, and you have to take what people are saying very very seriously. So I'm I'm sure that anybody listening to this year knows what people are saying today because unfortunately a lot of things are being said. One thing people are saying today, which to the trained mind it seems to be absurd, but it's something that people are saying today, is people are making comments like there's really only one gender, it's all a spectrum, there's no such thing as male and female anymore. And I even got an email the other day that people were suggesting that maybe that this drivel has a source in Chazal. You see how far people are getting influenced by what people are saying. And the truth is, we can all ask ourselves, like, why are people saying this? How can people, seemingly intelligent people, be buying this absurdity? And I suggest as follows: um, the whoever is a little bit connected with the writings of the Arizal knows that the whole concept of Zachar and Nekeva, of male and female, is really a um, is really a very very deep concept. Yeah, the idea male is the mashpia and female is the makabel. Again, not to put down chas v'shalom women and not to build up men. That women are givers and sorry, men are givers and women are receivers. That's not my intention at all. But there's something called the mashpia and there's something called kabel, right? In the spiritual worlds, there's the mashpia and there's the kabel, and it's not like that one is necessarily better or more than the other. It's just different roles, right? Different roles, different spiritual roles, and many manifestations of this in many areas. This is not the place to get into it now, but certainly somebody who is familiar with these concepts will understand what I'm saying. And the Arizal writes as follows. He says, when you get to the lowest point, right, there's pirut between the Zachar and the Nekeva, right? There's period between the Zachar and the Nekeva. In the lowest spiritual levels, there's period, and this is whoever will open up a siddur or other svarim for that matter, right? This is what's called the Shem Yichud. Shem Yichud. And before doing a mitzvah, before tefillas, the Shem Yichud Kuchabrichu, right? The point of this, the point of this is, the point of this is that there is in spirituality the male side and the female side, right, of things, and we have to bring them together. When they're brought together, this represents a shlemus, this represents a unity and a perfection, and this is the goal. The goal is that there should be unity between the male and the female, right? The higher up you go in the spiritual worlds, the more and more unity there is, until you get to the highest spiritual worlds. Right? We've spoken about this many times in the past few months, called Atik. Yeah, by Atik is really just male and female together. It's one entity, a male and female together, and this is what the Torah tells us. V'tila basar echad al kein yazu adam as aviv as imai, right? And he should he should be one with his wife, with his spouse. This is the goal. The goal is to get the Zachar and the Nekeva that the mashpia and the makabel, that they should be so closely united, yeah, that they're one. Right? This is really the goal. And as we get closer and closer to Mashiach, which anybody who is in the mechitzas of the Gedolei Hador, or even connected to anything, or has eyes in their head, can see like what's going on in the world today, how the pieces are falling into place. Right? I spoke about that not too long ago. The 19 signs of Mashiach, which are listed in the end of Masechet Sota, have all basically come to fruition, right? Except for the 20th one, which is that Ein Lan Elisha Novina Shemayim. We have to have nothing to rely on except for Hashem. These are all manifesting themselves today, which means we're getting closer and closer to the Madrega of Atik. We're coming closer and closer to the point where there is a unity between the Zachar and the Keva, between the male and female, closer to the point where it's all one. And as that happens, it's creating a certain avira in the world, right? Kibal d'shpoitis aretz. We know Erev Shabbos. Why is it called Erev Shabbos? What's the point? Friday is called Erev Shabbos, and especially after Chatzos and especially after Plaga Mincha, it's called Erev Shabbos. And halachic things, you can light Shabbos candles already after Plaga Mincha, after Chatzos, according to some opinions, that's supposed to work, because Kedusha Shabbos is already coming into the world. Right? We felt we were in Tveria by the family of which family is it? Rebbe Yashiv's granddaughter is married to okay, the name slips my mind, but the the Rebbeson told us that her husband comes, one of the great Mekubalim, comes to the Kos Ler Shabbos and is Makabel Panim from Sarah Menu, right? Sarah Menu. So it's a special Kedusha happening. Why is it? Because when the Kedusha is coming into the world, it's already mixing. That's why it's called Erev, it's the mixing. It's already mixing. And the hashpah of the Gula is already coming into the world, and it's causing people to get confused. People are not connected to true Yiddishkeit. They're getting confused, and thus the gender confusion. This is my personal evaluation of this, but I believe that there's definitely a source for this in the Kisvei Arizal, and as we get closer to Mashiach, this is going to be more and more pronounced, because either you understand this to mean that we're coming closer to the final tikkun, the final rectification of the chait of Adam Rishon, the reason the world was created, and the reason why the world looks as it does today. Either you understand it like that, or you understand that, oh, finally, after 5,000 or 10 billion years, however you count the age of the universe. So finally, we figured out that there's only one gender, right? And other such ridiculous statements that are being made today. It's either or. But I'm going to opt for the first one. I'm going to go with the fact that we're getting closer and closer to the Gula, and that we're coming to um, we're coming closer and closer to the Gula. And as we get closer and closer to the Gula, we're coming closer and closer to that total unification of Zachar and Nekeva, which is represented by Adik. We're coming to a Tikkun. We're coming to a Yichud of Zon, which is Zachar and Nekeva in the world. And as we come closer and closer, the Hashpoah could either be used for Tumah or it could be used for Tyre. Right? It's either going to be used for Tumah with people high confusion level as far as genders go, or it's going to be used for Tyra to recognize that we're getting closer and closer, and people should step up their avodas Hashem to try to do whatever they can to cause this to expedite this final tikkun, this final rectification. Hashem should help us with the greatest Yad Shmaya, right? And if it looks like I'm cold, I am. I'm outside here on the coastal. It's quite cold, but I felt it was important to give this message in front of the Manera, because that's our goal, to get the base of English back. It should happen very, very soon, and we should be zeiche all to be here with a rectification of all of the tikkunim that need to be done, Shemayim of Atik and Arich and Aben Ima and Zan, and all things that have to be done. Amen. Kain Tirot